So I took a big risk. I moved out of my hometown. I lived in the same apartment for the last 5 years in St. Petersburg, Florida. I've been only living in Central Florida my entire 29 years. So I realized I had potential. And after growing 65,000 followers on Instagram, my potential has not been met. And it's been aggravating me. And I feel like I've been stuck in a bit of a cage, kind of like the reptile in a cage only grows as large as the environment around them. And I just kind of felt trapped, same things going on day after day. And I felt like I couldn't end the cycle. So, what a better way to break it than to move across the country and try a bunch of different Airbnbs? Right now, we're actually staying at her mom's place for the next month or so. And then we're going to be in Colorado and maybe California, a bunch of different changes happening. But I couldn't stand Florida anymore. For some reason, it felt like a glitch in the Matrix. Like there was really wasn't any bad weather. Sometimes it rained, but every single day felt the exact same. Living at home, doing the same things day after day, I felt like I was taking more of a risk by staying there than just dipping on everything and hoping for the best. Because I wanted to go full time with content and personal branding coaching, and I just did. I wasn't ready. That's definitely something to note. I really wasn't ready for it. I'm not good with change usually. I'm pretty apprehensive when it comes to big life moves. But understanding that about myself, I realized that it made me feel uncomfortable and I had to kick the door down because that's exactly what you need to do if you feel a little bit anxiety about something. Just go after it as long as it's something good for you. You know what I mean? You don't want to be doing any kind of drugs or whatever and go after those things. But as far as taking a huge risk of myself, it happened. And I needed to come on here and give a quick update because I feel like a lot of you don't take those risks on yourself as well. You feel stuck, you stay in the same spot. It isn't like we have forever. You know what I mean? I had to realize that I'm 29 years old, about to be 30, and things had to change. It's as simple as if nothing changes, nothing changes. And it was getting more apparent by the day. I don't have any kids. I'm not married yet, but soon enough. And things are going to change here rapidly in the next few years. I need to get my ducks in a row or figure out where I really want to be. I want to remind you, if you don't know, back in 2024, I was at the lowest point in my life. I just quit my corporate sales job. I literally had no money to my name and I had my back against the wall. But the only thing I really knew that could get me out of the situation that I was in was pursuing content. So I just went all in. I started showing my art journey. I started posting daily. That's a big key concept because I was posting daily intermittently for the last 8 years. So what was going to be different? You know what I mean? And I think the biggest key difference of that was that I decided for myself to make it work. I actually decided to do it. Before it was just like, yeah, I like content. I'm just going to post and share my work. And, maybe it feels a little vulnerable here and there, but I would quit every 3 months or so. But that time, 2024, January 1st, I locked in and said I decided to make something of myself online. And since then, I've grown 65,000 followers on Instagram, a couple thousand on each other platform. But right now, I'm on a lock in with my TikTok. My TikTok personal brand has been a little bit different recently. I've been posting like 15 to 20 times per day in the last week or so because I think that's the move. I think posting natively on TikTok without worrying about a caption, without worrying about a text on the screen, and just being free to share your personality is something that's felt so freeing for me, even if the videos get like 100 views. Because if you see an outlier pop off on TikTok, you can be sure as shit you can post it on Instagram and it'll do pretty good. So I decided to just go crazy on TikTok and post the ones that do well on Instagram. And that's been kind of my method recently. But I want to go back to the depths of what 2024 really felt like because that's when it started to change for me. I grew 7,000 followers in the first 3 months of posting daily. And did I think that was going to be a thing? Did I think I was able or capable of that? No. But I went back and checked on people who, I felt like I could be doing the same thing as them and tried to reverse engineer the things that they were doing and bridge the gap into what I was doing because I realized that I wasn't doing exactly what I thought I was. I had to really separate myself from the outcome and really fall in love with the journey. So I would study just like a master study of a painter would do. I would study these accounts and realize when they popped off and not what they're doing now. You have to realize that there's a process of going from 0 to 10K. You need to find out where that happened for them. Like what happened in their journey for them to actually break out of that threshold because a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't break out of that threshold. So you got to really understand what it took for them, because it doesn't look the same as what's happening now. If you try to copy somebody that's right now and they're already 3 or 4 years into their journey and they have like 500K followers, it is pretty difficult to understand where they came from. So go back through their content, through their videos, and understand what the journey looked like for them, so that you can emulate that in your own content. And I think that's what really separated me early on. Back to taking a risk. I took a risk on quitting my corporate sales job back in 2023 to 2024. It was between that like winter break, and everybody was pissed at me. I was on a team at work. They wanted me to be a part of it. They kept calling me. I was just like, I can't do this, bro. I'm like completely flat broke. I can't even invest in leads. Like, it was a sales job for health insurance of all things. I took the test for it. Like, I was bought in. I was going there 8 a.m. to 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. full suit and tie to be there, literally cold calling all day. It was quite the nightmare. But something I heard while I was in my cubicle is something that I think changed my whole outlook on how I view success. I was listening over to some of the more successful salespeople. They were talking about this artist, right? His name's Skell. He's in Tampa. He's a huge artist. But either way, I heard them saying like, yeah, for his new quarterly earning benchmark, I'm going to buy him a Skell piece. And I'm just sitting there like, what? Like, they're buying paintings for each other? That's insane. Like, why is no one buying paintings of mine? Like, why don't they even ask me about my paintings? And then it dawned on me that I realized I'd never even spoke to them about the fact that I was painting. I was just briefly posting it on social media, hoping someone would care to ask me. And I wasn't really being like aware that no one else knew. My closest friends at work had no idea I was a painter. People in my own friend groups barely knew I painted. So why would I assume? I had this like ego about myself that I was assuming that like they bypassed me for a painting and went for the dude with more clout. That's really what my brain was saying. But really, the dude Skell he is a master marketer, and it's crazy. So that year, January 2024 to April, he asked on his story that he was like wanting to do like a mentorship day. I had to recall that. He wanted to do like a mentorship day, and I just randomly said, yeah, it would be a great opportunity. I'm from Tampa, blah, blah, blah. I had about 7,000 followers at the time, and he said, let's go. And I went over to his studio, never been in somebody's art studio before. I didn't have my own studio yet. And I was blown away. I was like seeing what it was like to be a full-time artist, he drove a Lambo, he had a truck, like literally the peak level artist in 100K followers on social media. Like he is still going great right now. But as far as that, I was literally blown away, being brand new to this whole scene, seeing everything for my first time. And he took me around the Lambo, dropped off paintings with me, all these different things. And I was like getting so much like confidence within myself, because I was like, dang, I'm seeing this for a first person point of view. I didn't know. He probably took a ton of risk. I asked him a few questions. He said to come with like 30 or 40 questions to ask him, because, mentorship is peak. And he was like, I want you to at least get everything you asked for on today. Right. He took me to lunch, all these different things. And I asked him like, what did it take for you to get to where you are? Like a simple question like that. And he was like, well, it took me telling all my friends what I did, and they supported me, and eventually it started to compound. But he was an EMT. He eventually quit that job to pursue painting. And at the time it was like 2012, where people like weren't as big on social media, I guess, like commonly. And he started to blow up in Tampa. So it was really cool to hear that story and to relate that back to what I'm currently doing. And it was all about taking the risk. It was all about quitting the job and going all in on himself. And I think that's the principle of what my like success has been. It's been going all in on myself and understanding that I have to be all in or I'm never going to be in. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I have to go all in or I'm out. You know what I mean? Like with ADHD, you have to be hyper fixated on something, or you're pretty much doing everything on autopilot. And yeah, that's really what taught me a huge lesson. Now I do content full time. I've been running brand deals. I don't know if you're familiar, but UGC is a user generated content, and I've been running up deals for that. You actually don't even really need a following, but you definitely need to make good videos. And I've been getting a couple of retainers through that and doing one-off brand deals with my personal page, just for brands, and not really posting it on the feed. Just working up that side of the social media ladder, the content ladder, because I kind of neglected it. And I feel like it's a key component that I was missing. The coaching business is great, but I needed to lock in on some other avenues because I felt like I was falling behind in that regard. To catch you up a little bit about me and what I'm doing, I'm basically just trying to grow other platforms now, like YouTube and TikTok. Instagram's great. 65,000 followers is awesome. I do want to get 100K soon, but right now I think I need to pivot to other platforms and expand my reach that way because I neglected them. I would cross post sometimes and I would do it, I wouldn't really focus on that particular app. But I think with the excessive posting on TikTok, I'm definitely learning that there's a whole nother game to every single platform, and you need to pick one first and add it to your tool belt. And that's what I did with Instagram because it is arguably one of the harder ones to grow on. Obviously, YouTube is a pain, but once you get it and you get paid for it for sure. I think that's really all I wanted to touch on. Like, taking risks is a huge component of success, and the only indication that success is even real is by failing. So if you're not afraid to fail, you will find success way faster than the person that's overthinking and afraid to even start. So just remember that, and I hope everyone's doing well. I haven't been on here in a minute. I need to be posting these more often. I'm going to do one weekly. Hold me to it. But either way, thanks for watching.